Overwatch Classic is here, and if you have been playing it, I'm sure you might realize that it plays a little differently than it did back in the day. Well, that's of course because we all know how to play Overwatch nowadays, so there are going to be a lot of characters that are kind of feeling different. Maybe they feel worse, maybe they feel a lot better, because back in 2016, we didn't even know how to play Overwatch, and many people hadn't played games like this before, arena shooters or shooters in general. Maybe you played on console all the way back then, and now you play on PC, so you understand a lot more of how the mechanics of these characters works. Doesn't matter. The game plays differently. So I wanted to give you a tier list of the characters that I think are the best in this mode today, right? It's a different tier list than somebody would have made back in 2016, although I don't think tier list content was very popular back then, so I don't know how many people would have done that. But that is kind of where I'm getting at this angle. So it's going to be different. You know, I don't think the meta as it is today, you know, if we were to play this patch forever, the meta today would be much different from the meta of yesteryear, and I think would be figured out much more quickly. So without further ado, I am going to go in alphabetical order, except let's go ahead and get this one out of the way. Widowmaker is an absolute plague on this game mode. It is insane, the level of just force that she has just being on the field, because her body shots do much more damage. She charges up, I think, generally quicker, although her scope and time is a little smaller or shorter, I think, but or longer rather. But she is just uncontested. It is so hard to get onto her because there's less factors. There's no Sigma shield. D.Va sucks. There's only one tank who can really deal with her, and even then, it's actually kind of hard to get to her without losing your entire health bar. Remember that there's also no healing from a distance really, other than Zen Orb, which isn't going to be super duper useful for a lot of characters, at least in trying to heal you up quickly. So if you're trying to dive on a Widow, even if you're Winston, even if you just take like 150 to the body, that's a lot, and everyone's just going to turn on you. There's 6 people who will turn on you if you try and get there, and you have no Ana, no Baptiste, no Brig, no anything that can like burst heal you from afar. You're just kind of cooked if you do that. It is so hard to get onto this character. She is just so oppressive, and to be honest with you, she makes this game mode really unfun. I think so many of my games have just devolved to 3 people on either team playing Widow, and then you just let them duel it out. Otherwise, she just has complete havoc on the battlefield. So yeah, I mean, this character is oh my god, I can't even I hate Widow. Anyways, Bastion. I think Bastion, you know, is really bad. I think we can all agree, like, there's nothing more to say about it. But I will say that the one shining spot, at least in his kit, is that he has tank mode, which does one-shot people. So even though he stops to heal himself, and although his turret mode, he can't even, like, look around while you're transforming, which just feels extremely clunky. He at least has like some sort of power spike that could be useful, and since ults, what's it called? They build pretty quickly in this mode. You will generally have it up decently often, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because a lot of characters are going to go into this like bottom tier, and at least Bastion has an ult that works for him. But a character who doesn't have anything working for them is D.Va. I underestimated how bad launch D.Va was, because I never really played her back in the day when I started playing this game, probably because she sucked. She can't even shoot while she's flying, on top of all the other things that she doesn't have micro missiles, and her defense matrix is not resource based, it's just a really long cooldown. Her ult takes longer to explode, and it blows her up if she's in the radius of it. So yeah, this character, also, she's like slower when she's shooting her bullets too. Like, she can't do anything. It's so bizarre that this character was allowed to ship, especially being one of the later designs too. Like, if I remember correctly, like, she was in one of the final batches of characters in the beta, like Genji and Mei, two characters who I think are much more cohesive. D.Va is just not at all. Just so weird. I think it was because, remember, they always said that D.Va was like the hardest character, like the most bugs out of any character. They were probably just trying to figure out those bugs the entire time, and that's why she was like one of the last characters to be revealed. That would make a lot of sense to me with how D.Va shipped. All right, I think there is like one of the only characters that can actually contest Widow is Genji. Genji has better movement than he does now since he can refresh his double jump. He's a lot trickier, but his numbers are generally the same, although his clip size is pretty small. But it doesn't really matter because, there's not as much burst healing. And he also, deflect is a good way to outplay mid-fight, deny damage. Like, with how finite healing and health is in this game, Genji actually has a lot more tools to deal with it than he does now. And since there's so much less burst healing, he is way better at just kind of like outmaneuvering you and playing around your strengths, and making it like really hard to hit. So I think Genji is actually pretty strong, and Dragon Blade is just so long. It's crazy. And there's not as much savior abilities or get out of jail free cards in this build. So like, you're just kind of dead if you get Dragon Bladed, depending on your character. So yeah, Genji is definitely a very, very strong pick right now. I guess I should, now that we have Hanzo, I'm going to explain the nostalgia pick. And that's that these are characters that are like kind of close to what they do. Like, they have things that work and they're like similar to what they actually play like on live, but they're either clunkier or not as good overall. Like, I think Hanzo's a perfect example because, he's just the bowman who one-shots you. He's got a couple of like different abilities, and that's kind of the thing, right? Like, he's got no lunge, and he can't charge an arrow immediately after wall climbing. He just feels weird, but at the end of the day, like, Scatter Arrow can just kill tanks and just kind of kill people randomly. And there is definitely, in the chaos of the original Overwatch, even now still, there is value in that. So like, when you're just playing the game regularly in quick play, you'll probably be okay on Hanzo, especially since you can play so far back and it's hard for characters to get close to you because not a lot of characters have that super mobility. So I think Hanzo is definitely like an okay pick, and a funny one at that, since Scatter Arrow would just grant you some random kills every once in a while. Junkrat, is he like bottom feeder with D.Va? I'll put him in barely functional just because he feels clunkier. He only has one mine. The mine does not travel very far at all. I think Trap arms slower, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Riptire is just generally worse. Like, he's not like too different than what he is right now, but those differences like really make him not very good, right? Like, Junkrat right now is like, he's a menace because of the one-shot potential, and he just like can't do that at all. Like, he just has to hit you twice. And since people kind of know how to play around Junkrat now and not just sit in chokes all the time, his spamming is just not really like viable. And like, even like, bouncing grenades just doesn't go very far and everything like that. His grenades can kill himself too, which is like not that big of a deal. But yeah, I don't think Junkrat doesn't work very well. Yeah, Riptire does feel really bad. It is kind of insane. All right. I've got Lucio. I remember back in the day, like, Lucio was like the support that you picked. You pick like Winston, Tracer, Lucio, and you just double that, and that's your team comp. But God, this character feels super bad. Obviously, he's got some nice things that are really good, like his amp it up speed is 100% movement extra, which is crazy. But his movement is really bad. He can't go backwards on walls. He can't re-wall climb on the same wall without touching the ground. He can't be on the wall infinitely. Just a bunch of things that make this character like super, super clunky and weird. But like, yeah, he has value. But does he have value in a quick play ladder setting? No, not nearly as much as he should. it's also hard to frag on this character because his movement is so bad. He doesn't get a boost of speed when he jumps off walls, so his movement speed is like really limited as well for this type of character. So I definitely don't think he is like that good at all. Cassidy. Cass is generally pretty similar. I mean, his flashbang is a big outlier. I mean, it's not even a big outlier. It's just like a little stronger than it is now in Overwatch 2. The big thing about Cassidy is that he's hit scan. He has a really long range for him, especially in this early build. And of course, fan the hammer. Every bullet does 70 damage, and you can, you know, flash, fan the hammer, roll, fan the hammer, and just kill anything in front of you, no matter who it is, right? The one thing about fan the hammer, though, is that when you do it, it has a extremely long reload time afterwards, but that isn't much of a problem if you're guaranteed to kill whoever it is when you're done with it. So Cass definitely very, very strong. If Widow didn't exist, I think Cass would be kind of like the de facto hit scan, but of course Widowmaker. So yeah, and there's a couple other things, like he can't roll in the air, which feels a little clunky now that we've had it for so long, but it doesn't really change his power level all that much. And you know, flashbang is a good tool against the characters that are hypermobile, a couple of the better characters in your backline. So all good on that front. I think Cass is still pretty good. I actually, to be honest with you, I don't really know what to do with Mei. She has freeze. She's still got her icicles. I mean, she has self-sustain, which is like one of the only characters in the game that can like heal herself and do it in a way that isn't like troll, like because she's invulnerable the whole time. I'm honestly tempted to put her in strong because again, she hasn't really changed that much overall. Yeah, I think she is pretty good. The only problem, I mean, she can ice wall like off Widow or something. Like I think Mei is definitely really good. I haven't really played her that much in this build other than like on some maps where she isn't very good, like on Gibraltar for whatever reason. But I don't see any reason why Mei would not be decent. And of course, remember, she has a little more health than everybody, which does matter, especially when health is finite and she can heal herself. Again, pretty big. So yeah, I think Mei is pretty good. Mercy. Oh, she's so weird because in this build, damage boost stacks, but her Guardian Angel movement is just so terrible. And it's mass res, right? Like res is the thing. I'm going to put her in barely functional. She feels really bad because you can't even, I thought you were able to super jump in this build. That didn't happen until her rework. So you can't cancel Guardian Angel with jump. So you have to just go the whole way. And you can really catch her out, and her healing isn't even that much, and the damage boost isn't like that super necessary in my opinion. Like there aren't like healing breakpoints you have to get through. Kind of like anyone can do it. You can kill anyone since the healing levels are so low. The only reason she's here is that mass res is just like, you know, she gets it really quickly. I actually, you know what? Let's I'll bump her up. I forgot, like, res is so good because she gets it super quickly, and she gets it from damage boosting, I'm pretty sure. So she is just constantly getting these reses and resing people. So, like, she is a valuable character to have. So I'll put her up there. I don't want to call her strong because it's all in her res, but, like, yeah, she is very, very strong in that department, at least. Okay, Pharah. She's very similar to how she plays, but she's just worse. Actually, nostalgia pick, just worse than now. I think that's the best way to put that. She's really slow in the air. Her jump jets don't go up as far, I'm pretty sure. It's just, again, just like a clunky, slow character who is like, okay, like she's like a designed character at least, but like, trying to even get in to do a barrage is hard enough because she only has one concussion blast that's on a pretty long cooldown, all of that. So yeah, Pharah is like She got like some of the least amount of changes overall in the beginning days of Overwatch, just because she's so milquetoast vanilla type. So yeah. Reaper. Is he an Overwatch 1 design kind of sucks? No, I think he's barely functional. Soul Orbs is crazy. He is a shotgun character, so like having to pick something up after death makes a lot of sense to him. But Shadow Step is clunky. Wraith Form is like, you just have to wait out the whole duration, and there's no like reload on the quality of life. And he's Reaper, so he's pretty niche, he's pretty situational. And why would you play Reaper when you could play this guy to bust tanks from near and far, basically? So yeah, Reaper is like, I think Soul Orb's really really detrimental to his kit. And I don't think his spread is very good either. Like, he just does not feel good at all. Reinhardt is pretty similar, but like, honestly, he doesn't feel very good just playing him randomly. Like, he's just kind of, he's very slow. Like, when he's holding shield, he's like super slow. And of course he has old pin that you can't cancel, and it doesn't go as far. You only have one fire strike. And even though his shield is like really like, it's 2,000 health, which is a lot, it doesn't really matter overall. Like, yes, having that shield I think is like the one, it's one of the things that like really helps him. But you know, without Lucio, he just can't get around, and he kind of suffers against some of the other tanks as well, and he can't interact with Widowmaker or another one of the characters we'll talk about in a second who's really good. So he's fine. I don't see anything like super wrong with him. Roadhog. I think Roadhog, I mean, like, when you're just playing quick play, of course Roadhog's going to be good. Because he can just one-shot and hook 1.0. And he's got a little bit of range because he's got his right click still. Now, obviously, his breather is like really bad in this build since it stops you in your place when you use it. But I don't think that's like too much of a detriment. I mean, he has effectively 900 HP compared to other characters who have 200. So yeah, I mean, he's Roadhog. He's hook 1.0. I think he's, you know, you just hop in, you pick Roadhog, you just have a silly, stupid time. Because also, like, there's very little that's going to stop you. I mean, like, D.Va's not going to stop you because she has to, even if you hook somebody and she reacts to it and she DMs them, her DM will still be on cooldown the next time you have hook. So you're kind of like guaranteed a kill, even if she does that. Nobody's playing D.Va anyways. It's more of like Zarya bubble that's going to like stop you. But even just pulling somebody in when they can't get saved from afar, it's over regardless. Like, it doesn't really matter that much. So I think Hog is actually a pretty good pick. Soldier, I mean, he is just like less reliable. His damage is lower. His rocket does, you know, the same amount of damage. His visor actually has more synergy with his kit because his recoil starts immediately, and visor is the only way to not have recoil while you're firing. I say recoil spread. Spread is what I mean. To not have spread while you're firing, which I think is actually really interesting. So yeah, Soldier is just whatever. I mean, he's Soldier. He does like have his own healing station, whatever, but I don't think he's setting the world on fire. His numbers are just really low. Oh my god, holy shit, man. Excuse me. Symmetra is like mind-boggling how bad she is, because she has to set up, because her turrets, you have to place them, what's it called? You have to place them manually, like right in front of you. They don't fly. You have to like place them on the wall yourself. And then her beam, it feels like it's 2 meters long. Like, I swear to God, you have to get like right up your right. Like, she might as well be a melee character. Like, you have to get up into like shotgun range for her beam to latch on. And remember, this character has to build up the charge on her beam. So like, even if you are somehow able to get that close to them, she's not doing any damage. And her turrets are pretty, like, she can have 6 up at a time, but she only starts with 3. So she has to go set them up. It's just, it just doesn't work. Like, this character just doesn't function very well. And of course, teleporter is like, it's just a silly ult. Like, it's not really that good. Especially if you know where the teleporter is. Like, if they're just trickling in out of spawn, then we know nowadays that you can kill everybody as they trickle in into the point, and eventually the teleporter will go away because it only has 6 uses. So yeah, Sim is just, this character is crazy. And of course, I totally forgot the photon barrier, whatever I think it's called in this build, when she just gives people 25 shields. That, it's just like kind of worthless. I mean, like, it kind of matters against Widow with Zenyatta and Tracer just because it puts them at a one-shot body shot range. But other than that, it's pretty negligible, especially on tanks. Like, it's like, if you're playing like 6 or 5 DPS and 1 Symmetra, sure, you could have a Sim that would have the most value possible out of her shields, but otherwise there's no reason to. Torbjorn, yeah, so I don't know why they thought it would be fun to just sit there and hammer at your turret for the entire match in the bonk, like the slowest hammer of all time. It's kind of insane that, you know, he puts down the level 1, he can't throw it, he has to put it down, and then he just 1, 2, and he has to hit it like 5 or 6 times for it to go to level 2, and then when you ult, you have to then hit it again to make it go to level 3. And his ult really just gives him like armor. Like, it's not even like that good either. He just becomes like a mini tank for a little bit. And he's boring. And of course, we can talk about Scrap, a character like this who is supposed to play at range, having to go into the fray to grab Scrap. There's no passive regen yet. Oh my god, man. Yeah, this character, it's insane. I know he's designed off of Engineer, like based off of Engineer, but like, whoa, they really did not cook with that one. Okay, Tracer, I would put her in the top tier, but since Widow, I'm the joke about Widow, I'll leave her here. But like, she is Tracer, and if you know how to play Tracer, you will absolutely wreak havoc on these lobbies. The only thing is that Widow can one-shot body shot you, and honestly, that is reason enough for me to just keep her down here. Yeah, that's it. I mean, she's Tracer. I really don't have much to say. She's basically the same as she is on ladder. Her pulse bomb does more damage. Yeah. There you go. That's kind of all I have to say. Winston is probably the best tank right now. I say right now, he's probably the best tank because he's just Winston, and people know how to play Winston now. He just has his bubble on a lower cooldown, which is honestly not that big of a deal overall. So that's it. I mean, Winston is very good. Primal, especially now that people know how to do primal mechanics against some of these characters, and no one can stop it, and no one can save people. Yeah, he's pretty good. And of course, he's one of the only characters who can really deal with Widow, and he goes well with Tracer and Genji and whatnot. So yeah, Winston is pretty good. I'm gonna put him over here. Like, these are the top 3 characters in my opinion. Zarya, I think Zarya is good. Yeah, I'm gonna put her up here as well because she can get 100 energy like instantly, basically. And if she just kind of chills and waits for her next bubble to come up, or she plays with her other tank, then yeah, she'll wreak havoc on you. Now, she doesn't really interact with like Widow or a couple of these other characters, but it doesn't really matter. She just has this big bubble of space around her where it's like, don't come near me, because I will always be at 100 charge. Especially when there's more people on the battlefield, it's actually more likely that you'll get bubble charge. And her bubbles are just, they give her more charge anyway. So she's on average going to have so much more energy than most people, or than she would on live right now. And I think that's pretty crucial. I'm kind of like tempted to put her down here. I'll put her at the top of here because, like, again, she doesn't like, she's more of like team comp oriented. Like Ryan and Lucio and Zar, like, they're very team comp oriented. So I'll keep her there, right there. But yeah, I think Zar is definitely playable, especially on certain maps. Zenyatta is our last character here, and I actually think, literally, okay, just his transcendence is worse, His health is much lower. He can get one-shot body shot, sure. But just by virtue of his Discord being 50%, I say similar. We'll keep him here as well. And that being that Discord actually takes like his orbs take 1,000,000 years to get to people. But Discord is 50%. So like Zenyatta can get some work in. I don't think Zenyatta is a troll pick. In fact, he might be the best support right now. Just because we know how to play the game, people know how to play Zenyatta. He is squishier, sure, and he's just overall worse. But just with 50% Discord, it like really saves him. Like it really makes a big difference, I think, when you're playing this game mode. So, yeah. Other than that, that is it. Please subscribe if you like this video, but also leave a comment. Who do you think is the best and who do you think is the worst in this game mode? Who do you like playing? If you're new, I'd love to hear back from you. Or if you were playing all the way back then like I was, what do you think? What are your updated thoughts about some of these characters? Let me know that. Please, this was streamed live, twitch.tv/Lane Hemingway. That's Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Get in on the conversation with me live when I do these types of videos. I'd love to have you there. And if you want 3 free months to my Twitch subscription or whatever they call it, there is a Discord giveaway down below. You have to guess the nominees for Game of the Year correctly. That is going to end on Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern when they announce the nominees. So please get those in before then. Everything you need to know is in the Discord down below. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. Please have a good day.